If you've watched Stranger Things, you know that Cold War was a prime time for governments experimenting with the paranormal. In the US, the CIA had Project Stargate. No, not the new OpenAI project. They were out there investigating whether psychic abilities could be used for military intelligence. Meanwhile, in China, we had a kid named Tang Yu who claimed he could read with his ears. Yeah, you heard that right. He said he accidentally brushed his ears against someone's pocket and sensed the cigarette brand inside. The media lost their mind. Eventually, they figured out he was just peeking, but by then, the damage was done. China was officially obsessed with supernatural abilities. Many attributed these abilities to Qigong. It's an umbrella term for many things. Qi means air, or an invisible energy, and Gong means the craft. Qigong practice goes way back in history as a combination of breathing techniques, meditation, and martial arts. Emperors sought after Qigong for immortality, but it got out of control with the paranormal abilities in the 80s, and a wave of self-proclaimed Qigong masters flooded the scene. And oh, did these masters have tricks? One of my favorites was Zhang Xiangyu. She was famous for introducing something called the information pot. Imagine a bunch of people wearing pots on their heads, claiming they were receiving messages from the universe. Sounds like a cult? Well, it is a cult. Zhang also invented a universal language that she used to talk to the aliens and the dead. And because every rock star needs a concert, she held huge events where people paid good money to watch her perform a mixture of Indian dance, Tibetan ritual, and Chinese opera while allegedly channeling spirits. Sadly, her intergalactic career was cut short when she was arrested for fraud. The most famous one is Dr. Yan Xin. This guy was different. He had credentials. A trained doctor who claimed he could wield qi so powerfully that he could influence natural disasters. When a massive wildfire broke out in northern China in 1987, he went to his rooftop from 1,000 miles away and attempted to put out the fire with his mind. California, take notes. His lectures were packed, and his energy was so strong that people swore they felt their illness curing just by standing near him. Even top universities like Tsinghua got involved, studying his ability to alter molecular structure with mind energy. The military was intrigued too, wondering if he could, make missiles change directions mid-air. The CIA even put his name in declassified documents, and in one of the strangest twists of fate, he was once photographed with Bill Clinton. Imagine being so good at scamming that you make it to the White House from China. Honorable mentions goes to the guy who could supposedly pull the pill out of a sealed bottle, and the dude who could read a letter without opening the envelope. By now, you might be wondering, how did these scammers get this big? Weren't there skeptics? Well, yes, there were a lot. But then, there was Chen Xuesen, the father of China's nuclear program, basically Chinese Oppenheimer. He was a top scientist, got his PhD in Caltech, helped found NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab, and was one of America's leading rocket experts until the Red Scare happened. And the US deported him in exchange of some American pilots captured in Korean War. He returned to China, became a national hero, and surprisingly, one of Qigong's biggest supporters. When a guy like that says Qigong is legit, who's gonna argue? Oh, and speaking of long-lasting legacies, you know that fancy dance show, Shen? Yeah, that was from Falun Gong, one of the biggest Qigong movements of the era. It grew so fast and so powerful that the CCP cracked down hard, forcing them to flee to America. So next time you see one of those Shen posters, just know it was part of the wild Qigong saga. And believe it or not, people still haven't let it go. In 2021, a Chinese paper was published claiming that scientists had used paranormal students' mind energy to turn a boiled egg back into a raw egg. and hatch a chickling. Let that sink in. Meanwhile, you can still find plenty of Qigong related content on YouTube today. It is tuned down a lot, but who knows? Maybe somewhere, right now, someone is trying to airbend.